North Carolina is an inside job. 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 North Carolina was an inside job.
John Cena Sr. You see, I know a little something. It's that North Carolina is an inside job.
March 24th. March 24th, 3/2/4/2012, March 24th, John Cena Sr. You know that I know that you know that I know that you know that I know that this whole North Carolina thing is an inside job. Inside, Johnny. And I'll be there March 24th. Oh yeah, I'll be there to stop it. March 24th. 3, 2, 4.
North Carolina is an inside job. North Carolina is an inside job. North Carolina is an inside job. Al Snow, you, my friend, have crossed the line. North Carolina is nothing but a business deal. You, Al Snow, you dare to come out and cut a promo? You dare to say that me, John Cena Sr., has pulled an inside job to move everything to North Carolina? Well, this is from me to you. You and I have been around. I've worked with you and you've worked with me. This is from me to you. I suggest you zip your lip. Or as another famous person used to say, I can damn well guarantee that you, my friend, will have as much to say about anything as head. And that's a fact.
Fans, the countdown to Soul Survivor VIII Final Destination is on. Saturday, March the 24th from Memorial Hall in Melrose, and I am very honored right now to be joined via telephone by one of the true veterans, the true greats in the sport right now, the one and only Fit Finlay. Fit, thank you for joining us so much.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Busy man, wanted around the world right now. We tried desperately to get you in for our 10th anniversary show last fall. That didn't work out as you were overseas, but this go-around, you're here to make a big-time impact at MWF Soul Survivor VIII. Former WCW Hardcore Champion, WWE US Champion. You've done it all around the world. Fit, as we spoke about a moment ago before we went on the air, tell the fans a little about what the heck you've been doing right now in the United States and abroad.
Well, I'm obviously wrestling. That's my life. That's all I've ever done. Next week I'm going to Japan. That's what I do. I get in the ring, but during the week I teach high school wrestling. I coach a high school here in Georgia, and that's my life. Just my 3 kids wrestle. My daughter's a state champion. My eldest son hopes to win state this year, and my youngest one, he's also wrestling. So they're all winning competitions all the time, but myself, I'm stepping in through the ropes and taking care of people as I normally do.
Well, you certainly find yourself in an interesting spot in your MWF debut at Soul Survivor VIII. When President Cena attempted to sabotage the company to move us to the Carolinas, he offered me the chance to finally get my hands on that scumbag, the Stalker Kage, in an unsanctioned fashion, but due to real-life health circumstances, I could not risk permanent injury, but it was decided upon that you were the best man for the job to rip off his face and shove it down that slob Paul Bearer's throat after he gets done with his lunch and dinner at Popeye's Chicken.
Well, that's something I can do quite well. Here's the thing. People have choices and chances, and some of the choices you make elevate the chance for someone to come along and rip your head off. And here's the thing you want to pass on to Mr. Kage is that, sometimes you come across someone in life that, makes you think twice about how tough you are, and makes you think about your own abilities, and really makes you feel unsure about yourself. Well, here's the thing. I'm that guy. I'm that guy that he's going to come across, and he will never be the same. Because I will take his head and shove it where the sun doesn't shine.
Well, believe me, I would pay a ticket to see that myself if I wasn't going to be there already. Mano a mano, I think Finlay destroys Dylan Kage. However, Dylan Kage, he almost held the MWF Heavyweight Championship for 4 years at one point. He's the MWF Southern Champion down in the Carolinas now. However, not only do you have to worry about Cage's in-ring ability, but Paul Bearer here in the MWF, he has a trifecta of terror. He has the MWF Tag Team Champions, the 6'7", 330-pound Rick Fuller, who you may have been familiar with from your days in WCW, as well as the 6'4", near 400-pound executioner Brian Milonas. When it comes to training and preparing and studying for a match like this, how does an entire faction such as the Trifecta of Terror fit into Finlay's plans?
Well, here's the thing. I've heard a lot about these guys, and to be honest with you, they're doing a good job of keeping that unit together, and they're a force to be reckoned with. And it's Paul Bearer is the mind behind it, and he is a great mind in this industry. So he knows what he's talking about. He knows how to keep guys on track. He knows how to plan, and he knows how to execute those plans. But here's the thing: there's not one situation that I haven't been in. There's not one situation that they can throw at me that'll surprise me. They may think they're smart, but you got a brain in here. I'm not a dummy. I'm not going to go in there blind. I've done my homework on what they are, who they are, how they operate, what they do, what they're capable of. I'm well prepared. I've watched them. I've learned about them. I would never, ever, ever take anybody too lightly. Never. That's when you fall down. That's when you hesitate. That's when you become a victim. Victim is not a victim. Never will be. And these guys, it's those guys that need to watch their backs. They don't know what surprises I can pull out of my sleeve.
Well, indeed, an Irishman that likes to fight in the Boston area. What more could you ask for when you take on the Stalker Dylan Kage with Paul Bearer in one half of the double main event? Finlay, it is shaping up to be a tremendous extravaganza of professional wrestling. Not only yourself, but MWF Heavyweight Champion Low Key, multi-time WWE Champion Carlito, Paul Bearer, as we mentioned, Al Snow will be in attendance, Bushwhacker Luke, you talk about wild and unorthodox, TNA X Division standout Zema Ion, that sleazebag John Cena Sr., as we mentioned. It is a who's who of professional wrestling coming to Soul Survivor on March the 24th. But not only is it a great night of professional wrestling, but it's an event as part of the Keep the Kids Off the Street campaign. The Special Olympic kids will be there, the Make-A-Wish kids, the Big Brothers. In this day and age, where you mentioned you had children of your own, I mean, I don't think you can stress enough how important it is to give kids interesting, exciting activities to go on, to keep them away from some of the demons of the world so they don't grow into them as they grow older.
Absolutely. Kids are so easily led astray. They've got their peers. They've just got so much distractions in life that it can be such a big mistake some kids make. And it's a good thing to have them there around you, give them something to do. Mentor them, and you just got to keep them on the right track, because it's so easy to fall into a trap, which can ruin your whole life. It can set you on the wrong path. It can hinder what you want to do in the future. So I'm a firm believer. I've got 60 kids on our wrestling team, and you just got to treat them like your own, and you got to look after them, and you got to make sure they're on board with everything, and you got to push them a little bit too. And that will never harm anybody. Someone looking after them and pushing them and finding out their abilities and their likes and their loves and their hates. And you just got to go with what you can and help as much as you can with all these kids. And it's an awesome thing that you got those Special Olympic kids and everything, man. It's a great thing you guys are doing. It's awesome. I'm really looking forward to being there and meeting all these folks, and especially getting in the ring and doing a bit of damage to the Stalker.
Oh, we certainly need to see some stalking going on for the Stalker, but, you know, sometimes people may look at it as patting ourselves on the back, but I'm very proud that the Millennium Wrestling Federation has been named Special Olympic Partners in 2011 and 2012. And I don't think that's just something that represents the company. I think it represents every athlete that competes in the ring. I think it represents the support staff that often goes unrecognized. And it also represents all of the great superfans that come out and support the live events.
Absolutely. Anybody that has anything to do with it in any capacity at all, even if it's just coming to support, and you know, it's everybody's part of it. It's a great thing, and that's a great achievement that you guys have done there. And it's I'm proud to be a little part of it, and hopefully, you know, it'll get bigger and better. And awesome thing you're doing. It's great.
Well, we're equally as proud to have you as part of the event, as part of the pre-event meet and greet, and then in the ring itself. One question I have to ask a veteran such as yourself, Fit, is someone that right now is traveling around the country, traveling around the world even, in some of your tours of Japan. What do you see right now as some of the needs for these regional wrestling promotions that you go to, where, oh, I hate to call it the post-2000 syndrome, but it seems like those that broke into the sport after the millennium broke have a different attitude, appreciation, respect, mantra for professional wrestling than those than the 90s and beforehand. It seems like this generation certainly could use a little bit of mentoring, almost similar to what we do with the Keep the Kids Off the Street campaign.
Absolutely. Well, I think what it boils down to is you've got you don't have as many veterans around. You don't have as many veterans in the locker room, so that sort of thing needs to be passed on. You know, the locker room etiquette, you know, how to conduct yourself, and even how to, you know, how to move forward in your own profession. You know, it's you got to learn. You can't just because you got a pair of boots and you got in the ring a couple of times. That's not it. You got to. I've been doing this 38 years, and I always try to learn something. And then sometimes it's what not to do, but you're always striving to get better, always. And sometimes the younger guys, and I think it's that generation, you know, teenagers are the same, you know, the video games are their passion, and it's, you know, there's no longer that physical mentality that most of us had in those days, you know. But it's definite, in my opinion, a lack of veterans in the locker room, and they have no mentors anymore, not as much as it was in the 90s and 80s and stuff like that. So, you know, old-timers like me around the locker room may make a difference, may not, but some of them listen, some of them won't. If the ones that won't, they're not going to last too long. So
there you go. I think
opinion.
There are no shortage of veterans in an MWF locker room, and I certainly think not only is it an asset to the fans and the audience to be able to see you go out and perform your craft in the king of sports, but also for the younger guys trying to get to the position you're at, to be able to see what you do and how you do it is also a very, very important thing for those that are wise enough to realize the gift they're being given.
Absolutely. Sometimes they don't, you know, sometimes, you know, they're kids, they're young guys, you know, I was there. I was a young kid. I thought I knew it all when I was in my teens, but, you know, there comes a point when you realize you don't, and, if, you know, hopefully you're smart enough quick, and it doesn't take too long, because the business doesn't wait on anybody. It'll spit you out in a heartbeat.
Well, always interested to get the analysis of a longtime veteran such as yourself, Fit. We're running out of time in this interview segment. Any final thoughts for Stalker, Dylan Kage, Paul Bear, and the great fans of Boston for Soul Survivor 8, March the 24th?
Here's a word for the Stalker, Mr. Kage. He will never, ever be the same after this. I said this many times. It's like, you know, going deep sea fishing, you catch a shark, and you try to get that shark in. You're going to have the biggest fight of your life trying to get that shark in the boat. You may get it in, you may not, but you will never, ever forget that fight to get that shark in the boat. And this shark, with Finlay, has got sharp teeth. He's going to bite his head off.
Unbelievable. Wrestling fans, you heard it from the horse's mouth himself. Finlay joined 7 other featured superstars as part of an all-day extravaganza to keep the kids off the street. Saturday, March the 24th from the historic Memorial Hall. Fit, thank you so much for joining us, and get your tickets and VIP packages now at the BostonWrestling.com super site. We'll see you soon.
Soul Survivor. My event. March 24th, Melrose, Massachusetts. Once again, final destination. I told the world that Mirade was going to run like the coward that he is. So the MWF officials bring in a man, because you cannot have a boy do a man's job. So they bring in who? Finlay. Don't think, Finlay, that I don't know about all the tournaments you competed in Europe, in Japan, where you made your name. Don't think for a fact that I haven't forgotten that you were the WCW Hardcore Champion, that you were the WWE United States Champion, that you're a veteran, a man among men, someone that deserves respect. And you have it. You have it from me, the trifecta, and from my Uncle Percy. But you see, we have realized something. All these things are in the past. And what we will do is expose the fact that it's not the past. That is, this is the present and the future. And you're talking to a man that ended the goddamn career of the very best in New England. Louis Ortiz, the demon. You are going to be dealing with the man that has bitch-slapped Hanson around so many damn times that he thinks his name is Hanson Johnny. I retired. The Iron Sheik, legendary world champion. Hell, I ran Al Snow out of here for a few years. I carried the MWF on my back for 4. I became the MWF Southern Heavyweight Champion. Hell, I even scared people for 2 years when they didn't even know I was around. I founded the trifecta, the greatest, the most dominant faction in New England in the last friggin' 20 years. So my resume, it's not that bad, Finlay. Your decades of success will mean absolutely nothing. March 24th, 2012, because it will be your final destination. Fit Finlay. You're looking for a fight. I think you just found one. And I will make you my bitch!
Here it is. Look, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls. Here we are at the most famous arena in the entire world, in the biggest city in the world, Big Apple. Here we are at Madison Square Garden, you know, and thinking about it and reflecting about it, where I come from, there's a pretty big arena too. It's It's called the Boston Garden, which in fact MWF had its Soul Survivor press conference there, and I mean, you had Slick Wagner Brown there, you had Mr. North Carolina himself, John Cena Sr. But where's the guy that technically should be the MWF Heavyweight Champion? Scott Reed. I mean, I don't remember ever getting a phone call, a text message, an email, a postcard, a letter. Shit, I haven't even heard it by word of mouth. Which upsets me. Which makes me think that, once again, John Cena Sr., this whole North Carolina thing is really an inside job. But listen, I gotta put that aside, and I have to understand that Julian Starr, there's a little issue. Julian, how do you not understand what I did to you? I mean, we had a tag match against Bad Penny. I come to realize that, well, Julian, you're just not the kind of tag partner that I want. As a matter of fact, you're not even the kind of friend that I want. So, what I did to you, Julian, is just a little taste of what I'm going to do to you in our upcoming match. Julian, it's real simple. You can go out to the crowd, you can do your little dancing, your little ha-ha stuff, but what you really need to understand is you need to focus, Julian. You need to focus on possibly a match-ending career. Look at me. Julian. And then look at yourself and realize, where do you fit in? Where do you fit in the heavyweight picture? You can do nice moves, little 450 splashes, but Julian, I'm just a master at kicking ass. And you're gonna find that out firsthand, buddy.
This is what we've been waiting for right here, y'all. This moment right here. It's my time.
Wrestling fans, I am happy to be here tonight with the one, the only, multi-time WWE champion right now.
Multi-talented, too.
Multi-talented?
Yes.
Well, just check out his Twitter at @TheRealAlSnow if you really want some humor. Al, the big one is coming, MWF Soul Survivor VIII, Final Destination.
March 24th.
Took the words right out of my mouth. Memorial Hall, Melrose. Yes. Big event to keep the kids off the streets.
I'm so excited, I'm telling you. Literally, parts of my body are pulling up inside me as we speak. That's how excited I am about this.
The commission releases, he's so excited. That's a different story for a different time.
It's a different story.
You know, on Super Bowl Sunday, we saw the promo. You are coming. You know what President Cena is, or ex-President Cena is
exactly. Up to. I know the whole deal. I know what's going on. I know what's going down. I know it's an inside job, Mr. Cena. And I'll say that with a certain amount of respect, because you're entitled to that because you're a human being. Well, some people would believe that you're less than a human being.
Exactly.
And your actions, a lot of times, make all of us believe that you are less than a human being. It doesn't matter to me if you're a human being or an animal. Come March 24th, I'm going to put a stop to your little inside job.
Unbelievable, Al. Ever since the news broke that you were coming in, you have this wild...
Literally, rampant. People going crazy in the streets, dogs and cats living together in sin. It's been insane, I know that. That's what happens whenever I go wherever I go. It's exciting.
That wild, unpredictable East Coast cowboy, DJ Dubé, he's
yes.
been running wild. He knows your past association with the manager of champions, Bull Montana, in the MWF. This past summer...
Bull Montana, the history with horses that man has. What an equestrian person he is. And of course, a cowboy would have an appreciation for the equestrian arts, such as what Bull Montana has had in his hands.
Indeed.
Right?
Well...
And of course, I've heard that the East Coast Cowboy, much like everybody else around the world, is a huge fan of him.
He'd have to answer that question himself. I am not an expert in that matter. But nonetheless, East Coast Cowboy over the summer, you saw it on MWF television, the verbal tirades he went on about Tony Atlas's love of feet, actually going into a shoe store, trying to humiliate the WWE Hall of Fame.
And how could you humiliate Tony Atlas in a shoe store? I mean, come on. That's the possibilities for hoof jobs, which of course a cowboy would appreciate because of the hooves, which are of course on a horse, which which makes me believe that actually the East Coast Cowboy might be a little bit jealous of that appreciation for feet that Tony Atlas has.
Well, Tony Atlas wrote a fine book about his love of feet, but again, that's a different story for a different time.
Talk about a coffee table book there.
You can kick your feet up and
relax.
But you will have the manager of champions, Bull Montana, in your corner March 24th.
Will you?
Understand?
Oh,
no,
yes.
I'm not getting into
Me?
it. I'm banned.
Oh, you're banned? Why are you banned?
Well, we had the big unfortunate issue, the unsanctioned street fight where I was going to face Dylan Kage, but because of the back issue I have, Finlay will be taking my place. So
that's even better.
Well, he'll tear off Dylan Cage's face and feed
I
it to
will
Paul
have
Bearer.
Bull Montana in my corner.
Manager of
legendary
champions.
Bull Montana in my corner
Live.
on March 24th.
To keep the kids off the street.
Bull Montana in my corner. It doesn't get any better than that.
What do you think about this Dubé, though? It's, like I said,
The
these
East Coast Cowboy?
wild, crazy remarks. He's the East Coast Cowboy all the way from Maine to Miami.
Yeah,
making
if
his
I
little
remember
head
correctly,
references.
now I could be a little wrong with geography, but aren't Cowboys more in the West than they are on the East Coast?
Well, that's what makes him so wild and unpredictable.
I would say so, because he's riding a horse up and down the East Coast as opposed to out in Texas or Oklahoma or Montana or Wyoming.
Not Bull Montana.
Or Bull Montana. Well, he could ride a horse through Bull Montana. I've heard that several horses have rode through Bull Montana.
I think if Bull Montana ever got on a horse, it could be a repeat of South Carolina, but it's different than North
It'd be
Carolina.
a terrible situation.
But again, Dubé...
Which Cowboys were involved in that, too.
That's right, there were two of them.
Dubé can say when
you're
whenever
talking about-
Dubé wants
But a
to
legacy,
say.
Al. I mean, you're a veteran of this
Yes,
place.
and
When
you know what my
serve-
legacy is going to be on March 24th? My foot up that Cowboy's rear end, okay? You think that Bull Montana and the weird things that he does to a horse are bad, Cowboy? It ain't nothing like when I strap a bridle on you and ride your ass around that ring. I'm going to run you in the dirt, if you're lucky.
The comments he's made about Head, the Job Squad, and so on and so forth, I find disrespectful to someone that loves this great sport.
That's okay.
I am looking forward to seeing you and Dubé one-on-one. Maybe after the Atlas debacle, you can finally, well, maybe put his foot in his mouth.
He may enjoy that.
But again, all humor aside now, March 24th, Soul Survivor rated is subtitled Final Destination.
3-2-4 of 2012.
Thanks to John Cena Sr.
Yes.
It's looking like this could be the final event in Boston due to his shenanigans to move the company to North Carolina.
Lots of shenanigans, I'm sure, and John Cena Sr., we're all well aware of all of the things that you've tried in the past. And as always, they have eventually went to nothing. And this will be the exact same thing. We'll make sure of it.
Unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen, you have heard it here, an all-star lineup coming to Memorial Hall in Melrose on March 24th.
March 24th.
Big event in the afternoon. We have the free charity event for Make-A-Wish, Special Olympics, and so on and so forth.
Please come out and
That
support
night,
it. Yeah.
we've got the meet and greet before the event. You can get autographs and photos with the superstars.
And the show is great for kids from 9 to 99. It's a family event. Everybody's more than welcome to come.
Raffles, auctions, a plethora of superstars. This gentleman right here.
I'll be doing my magic act for the blind. They love card tricks.
MWF Heavyweight Champion Low-Key will be defending his championship. Finlay, Paul Bearer, that scumbag. John Cena Sr. himself will be there. My gosh, the list continues. It goes on. Carlito makes his return to the Millennium Wrestling Federation.
Finlay, you were just
Fit
saying?
Finlay.
Yes.
Bushwhacker Luke. I know Bull Montana. He wants to honky a little bit. But
Okay.
Zema Ion from TNA, one of the future of the X
Amazing
Division.
talent, yeah.
You know, you work with Zema a lot in TNA. I mean,
And it's a cold, refreshing drink. It's a malt beverage they used to have.
oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't drink all that much. Maybe I should.
I don't know.
Wrestling fans, it has been a pleasure to be joined by Al. If you want to meet and greet this superstar in person and then
of course you do.
see him, take it to the limit. As
I'll
we
be
have-
live in 3D for the first time ever.
We haven't seen Al on a regular basis on national TV in a long time. He's still got it. Dubé's going to see it live March 24th. And don't forget, North Carolina,
It's an inside job.
we know Johnny and we're coming.